sports has always been a major part of society. You know, a lot of people come together to watch sport, to celebrate sport, and brings a lot of communities and even nations together. I guess a good example for that would be how the Olympics is probably the biggest gathering of you know, a lot of countries, and they all come together at one time. So I think you know, in that way, sports has always been something for a lot of people to always come together for, and you know, I guess it's also the unknown aspect of the outcome of any sport that kind of makes it exciting. So you know, that's why I think that sports is always a very important part of pretty much any society. And for an individual, I think it's also very important as well, because you know, the training and the hardships you go through to actually accomplish something in a sport, I think really bring out a lot of character in a person. You know, and obviously they learn the values of hard work. They learn the values of being part of a team, dealing with wins and losses, dealing with fears, dealing with nervousness, the jubilation after winning, the disappointment after losing, you know, and that's just to name a few. So I think obviously, you know, it does wonders in building character for people, and especially for kids. I think it's very important. In India, I think on the bright side, sport is definitely growing. You know, I think that's what we need to focus on, is not about anything else. I think the fact that there's a lot of scope for anything in India to grow, and I think this is the right time. So you know, obviously I think that there can be a lot of things that can be better, but that being said, I think the important thing is that now, finally, after many years, sports is actually becoming a viable professional option for a lot of kids. You know, they're starting to see it more than just a recreational thing to do. So I think you know, that's a good start, because now people can start taking it seriously, which means the coaching is going to become more advanced, the facilities are going to become more advanced, infrastructure, which is only going to give our country more opportunities to do well in international sport. You know, so and I think you know, with a country of 1.2 billion people, I'm very positive that we're going to find a lot of good athletes out there if we give them enough opportunities. So I think the most important thing in India right now is to find ways to give opportunities to kids to you know, have access to whichever sport they want. The way sport is run, I think it's made for everybody. So it's definitely time for us to take whatever we can from pretty much any corner of the world. So obviously the government is a big part, but I also think that individual corporates and companies are starting to get very attracted to the idea of sponsorship in sports and athletes, because I feel like you know, they can also get a lot out of it, and in one way they can also give back to the society and also to kids. You know, I think at the end of the day, we all have to find a way to make our nation grow, and for everyone that's always a very good opportunity. To be honest, you have to look at the big picture at all times. You know, so if you're wherever you're looking at, I think whether it's the Northeast, which is untouched, I feel like, and there's a lot of good athletes, or in villages or in corporate schools, I feel like there's an athlete everywhere. So my message is very simple, is I feel like we need to find a way to make sport accessible for kids. You know, make it inexpensive and make it accessible. And the more number of kids that play sport, I think obviously you're going to have a better chance to be successful in that sport. But more importantly, you're going to give a chance for all of these kids to learn and grow and kind of, you know, just feel like they build a lot of character in their upbringing. And also, not to take away, one of the most important things is I feel like they'll develop a lot of friendships and, you know, basically life lessons. So I think it's very, very important to reach out to pretty much any single corner of the world, because the kids are the future for our country, and I think sport is a great place to start. The sporting culture in the West is excellent, because I feel like you know, the kids are not pressured into being fantastic students in the classroom. I think the kids have an opportunity to play whatever sport they want, and you know, for example, I think first of all, it's a viable professional option in pretty much any country in the West. But also, I think, you know, looking at it from a health standpoint, I think it's going to be very good for our kids to take up sport, and and kind of at least get it introduced in their lives. The most important thing for us is to find a way to make sports accessible in every part of the country to kids all over the country. So how do you think that's gonna? How do you think that's possible? I think that the way forward is definitely have organizations and experts in the field come out who are passionate about sport, who are passionate about kids, and who are passionate about getting the best out of the country. And I think that having corporate help in such places will definitely help finance these projects to help reach out and to kind of make it more accessible for kids all over. You know, I think it's something that kids will really benefit from. You know, especially like you said, in the urban places, it's a lot more accessible. But the key is to make it more accessible in the rural areas, and the key is to make it more accessible to people who currently don't have access to sport or organized sport. So I think having corporate help over there will be very, very huge. Over the past few years, it has not been an alternative, you know, except for cricket. I think in the late 90s or even the early 90s, it really wasn't an option to play other sports in India. But I think now, slowly with the way the country has grown in every aspect, I think sports has also grown in that way. So honestly, that's why it's an exciting time, because not only has sports grown, but also the business has grown. So I think it's a good way to kind of get both of them together, and it'll help the businesses for sure. And also it'll give an opportunity for the people who are fortunate enough to give back and you know, grow sport in the country. So obviously sport's going to benefit, and which at the end of the day means that the kids are going to benefit. You know, so I think it's a good way of looking at it.